The market was busy, full of voices, smells, and noise, when a sudden cry cut through everything. People turned their heads, some annoyed, some curious. In the middle of the street stood a small alien child, her skin pale and glowing faintly, her eyes full of tears. She screamed in broken human language, "Please, someone fix my mom, she won't stop shaking." The crowd moved back, as if the child carried danger. Whispers spread, "Stay away, it's one of them." "Her mother has the sickness," another said, pulling his cart further away. The little girl sobbed louder, tugging at her mother's hand. The alien woman stood like a fragile tree in the wind, her body trembling uncontrollably, her legs barely able to hold her. People watched, but no one moved forward. Fear hung in the air, heavier than the smell of the market. No one wanted to touch them. No one wanted to risk it. Among the crowd stood one human, a traveler and healer named Daniel. He had seen many diseases in his life. He had helped both humans and aliens before, but never had he seen a child begging like this, her voice cracking with terror. Her small hand shook as she tried to hold her mother still. The mother's head jerked side to side, her eyes rolling, her lips trembling as if fighting to speak but failing. Daniel stepped closer, but the people around him grabbed his arm. "Don't, human," a merchant hissed. "They are cursed. You touch them. You will never be the same." Daniel looked at the merchant, then back at the child. The girl's eyes met his, desperate, shining with tears. "Please," she begged again. "Please fix my mom. You're human, you're strong, you can help." His heart pulled him forward. He knelt down in front of the girl, speaking softly. "What happened to her?" he asked. The child wiped her eyes. "She started shaking last night. She couldn't stop. The alien doctor said to leave her outside. A said no hope, but she is my mom. I can't leave her. I can't." Daniel felt anger burn in his chest. Leave her outside to die alone? He looked at the mother again, saw the sweat dripping down her face, saw how her muscles spasmed without control. This was not a curse. This was illness, and illness could be fought. Still, he knew it would be dangerous. He knew the crowd already hated what he was about to do. The girl clutched his sleeve suddenly, as if sensing he might leave too. "You're the only one who stopped," she whispered. "Everyone else runs away. Please, don't run." Daniel placed his hand gently on the mother's arm. Gasps erupted from the crowd. Some even shouted, "Fool! He touched her!" But Daniel ignored them. He focused only on the woman. Her skin was cold yet burning beneath, her body jerking as if electricity ran through her veins. He steadied her, speaking calmly. "It's all right. You're not alone now." The mother's eyes flickered open for a moment, meeting his face. A faint light of awareness returned, then vanished again as her body trembled harder. Daniel turned back to the child. "What's your name?" She sniffed. "Lyra." "All right, Lyra," he said. "I'll try, but you must be brave for your mom." Lyra nodded quickly, wiping her face, trying to be strong. Daniel looked around at the fearful faces in the market. None stepped closer. None offered help. He realized it was only him now, one human against fear, superstition, and maybe a sickness no one understood. But when he looked again at Lyra's eyes, at the way she held on to hope with everything she had, he knew there was no turning back. The mother shook violently, her knees giving way, and Daniel caught her before she fell. The crowd scattered further, leaving him, the child, and the trembling woman alone in the center of the market. The girl whispered through fresh tears, "You're our only lifeline." And Daniel, holding the fragile weight of the alien mother, finally realized this was only the beginning. The market had fallen silent. All eyes were fixed on the human who dared to touch the trembling alien woman. Daniel could feel the weight of their stares, heavy with fear and judgment, yet he did not let go, his hands steadying the woman's fragile frame as if his calm alone could fight her shaking. Lyra clung to his side, her small fingers tight on his arm. She whispered again, "No one else ever tried. Only you. Only human brave enough." Her words trembled with both hope and terror. A voice broke from the crowd, sharp and angry. "Step away, human. She is cursed. Her shaking will spread to you, then to all of us." Others echoed, "Leave them. You'll bring death to us all." Daniel raised his head slowly, meeting their fearful eyes. "This is no curse," he said firmly. "I have seen sickness before, and this is sickness, not evil." But his words did little. The people shrank further back as though distance alone would protect them. The alien mother's body jerked harder, her hands twisting uncontrollably. Daniel felt the violent spasms run through her arm into his own. For a moment he wondered, what if they were right? What if touching her doomed him too? But then he looked at Lyra, the child's eyes wide, drowning in tears. He knew he could not abandon them, no matter the risk. "Stay with me," he whispered to the woman, though she seemed barely conscious. Her lips moved, broken sounds escaping, no words, only pain. Daniel tightened his grip gently. I won't let you fall, not while your child still needs you. The market began to clear, merchants pulling down their stalls. No one wanted to be near, no one wanted to share the same street as the trembling woman. Soon Daniel, Lyra, and the alien mother were left in a wide, empty space. Only a few guards lingered at the edge, their hands on their weapons, their eyes full of warning. "Human!" one guard barked. "Put her down." "Walk away, it's for your own life," Lyra screamed back. "No, he's helping her. He's the only one helping." The girl's small body shook as much as her mother's, fear and defiance burning together. Daniel ignored the guard, instead lowering the mother carefully onto the stone steps nearby. He touched her forehead, hot as fire, her pulse racing. Her body trembled in waves, each one stronger than the last. He studied her, his mind searching for patterns, for clues. There he noticed it. Her shaking was not wild, not random. It came in steady rhythms, like a storm beating in time with some hidden drum. Daniel frowned, whispering to himself, "Not a curse, not poison. Something deeper." The mother gasped suddenly, her chest tightening. Her eyes snapped open, glowing faintly for only a second before rolling back. Her hands clawed at the ground, and then her voice broke through in a single, cracked word. "Help." It was faint, but it was enough. Daniel leaned closer. "I hear you. I will not stop." Lyra pressed against her mother's side, her tears soaking the woman's clothes. "She spoke. Did you hear her? She spoke." Her voice carried desperate hope, as if that single word had changed everything. Daniel nodded slowly, though worry weighed heavy in his chest. Yes, she spoke, but her body was breaking under something no one understood, and now he too was marked, touched by her sickness, defying their law, standing alone against their fear. The guards muttered among themselves, deciding if they should seize him now or wait. The crowd whispered that the human would soon start shaking too, but Daniel blocked them all out, focusing only on the mother and the child. He thought, if there is no cure, then I must find one. If no one else dares, then I must try. The mother's body jerked again, stronger, and Daniel realized she might not survive another night. Every second mattered. "No." Udoyu, Lyra squeezed his hand tight, whispering in a trembling voice, "You're our only lifeline. Please don't leave us." Daniel looked into her eyes and gave a slow nod. "I won't leave. Not now. Not ever." And with those words, the line between fear and courage was crossed. He had chosen his path, a path that could cost him his life. But deep inside, he knew this was only the beginning of a fight far greater than anyone in that market understood. The streets emptied quickly after the guards barked their warnings. Stalls were left half closed, fruits rolling on the ground, merchants gone. It felt like the sickness itself had pushed the whole market away, leaving silence around Daniel, the trembling mother, and Lara. Daniel wiped sweat from his forehead, not from fear, but from the weight of decision. He had touched her, he had defied them all, and now he carried their eyes on his back like knives. Lyra clutched his sleeve, her tiny body pressed against him. "Don't let them take her," she whispered. "They want her gone, like the others." Daniel frowned. "The others?" Lyra nodded quickly, wiping her tears with the back of her hand. "Anyone who shakes, they are taken outside the city, left in the cold, no help, no medicine." Her voice broke. "They never come back." The words hit Daniel harder than any threat from the crowd, so this was the truth behind their fear. Not only sickness, but law, a system that threw away those who needed help most. His hands curled into fists, but he forced calm for Lyra's sake. The guards stepped closer, one of them pointing a steel rod at the trembling woman. "She has the trembling curse," the guard said coldly. "All records prove it. Many have died. Human, do not waste your life on her." Daniel stood, placing himself between the mother and the soldiers. "I am not afraid of records. I trust what I see with my own eyes." The guard sneered. "Then you are a fool." The mother groaned, her body twisting, her nails scratching the stone step until they broke. Lyra cried out and bent down, holding her mother's hand. "Mom, stay with me, please. He will fix you." Daniel crouched again, studying the spasms carefully. Each movement was sharp but patterned, as though her body was trapped in invisible chains. Her pulse pounded too fast, her temperature far beyond normal, but there was no sign of spreading sickness on Lyra, no signs of decay. If it were contagious, the child would have shown symptoms long ago. "This is not what you think," Daniel murmured, more to himself than anyone else. The guards growled impatiently. "Enough! Stand aside!" One lifted his weapon, but Daniel raised his hand. "If you take her now, you kill her and the child too." The silence after those words was sharp. The guards hesitated. The crowd that lingered whispered louder. Lyra looked up at him, her eyes full of fragile hope. "You believe me? You don't think we are cursed?" Daniel met her gaze and spoke firmly. "No, you are not cursed, and your mother is not beyond saving." Her lips trembled into the smallest smile, the first sign of relief since the market, but around them, voices grew darker. "Lies," someone shouted from the shadows. "The sickness spreads slow, first tremors, then madness, then death." Another added, "The human will shake next, mark my words." Daniel ignored them, pressing 2 fingers against the woman's neck, feeling the storm beneath her skin. He whispered, "This is illness, not madness. There must be a cause, and if there is a cause, there can be a cure." The alien mother opened her eyes suddenly, glowing faint blue for a heartbeat. Her voice cracked out a single phrase, "Not curse, broken blood." Before her body twisted again, the words chilled Daniel, but also lit a spark of truth. Broken blood, something deeper than infection. The guards muttered to each other, confused, uncertain if they should drag her away or listen. The crowd was split, half afraid, half curious, but none dared step closer. None dared challenge the old belief. Daniel straightened, his voice calm but firm. "If your people fear her, fine, but I will not abandon her. She is alive, and while she is alive, she deserves a chance." Lyra pressed her forehead to her mother's trembling hand, whispering, "He won't leave us, he promised." And though Daniel stood alone against a world of fear, the fire in his heart burned brighter. He had no cure yet, no answers yet, but he had something stronger than all their doubt, the will to fight for one fragile life, even if the whole planet called it foolish. As the alien woman shook in his arms, Daniel realized one truth clearly. This was not only a battle against disease, it was a battle against fear itself, and fear would not win. Daniel's hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from exhaustion. Hours had passed since the market first emptied, and still the alien mother shook violently, her body fighting itself. The guards had stepped back, unsure if they should arrest him or wait for the sickness to claim him too. Lyra sat close, never letting go of her mother's hand, whispering again and again, "Stay alive, Mom. Stay alive." Daniel studied her carefully, his healer's mind racing. He had seen fevers, seizures, even poisoning, but this was different. Her trembling followed a strange rhythm, not random, not wild. It was like her body was trapped in an invisible cycle. Her eyes opened for brief seconds, showing awareness, then rolled back again. Daniel pulled out a small case from his travel bag. Inside were simple tools, metal rods, thin cloth strips, bottles of herbs and powders from different planets. The crowd whispered, "What is he doing? Magic? Witchcraft?" But Daniel ignored them. His focus was sharp. He checked the mother's breathing, shallow and uneven. Her heart raced too fast, but when he pressed against her chest, he noticed something unusual. Her lungs were not fully expanding, as if some force inside her body blocked the flow. He wrapped a cloth around her wrist to steady her pulse. Then he leaned close and whispered, "If you can hear me, fight with me, not against me." At first, nothing changed. Then slowly, very slowly, her spasms weakened for a few seconds. Lyra gasped, "It's working! You're fixing her!" Her eyes lit up with desperate hope, but Daniel frowned. "Not yet. This is only a small step." The mother's trembling returned, weaker but still violent. It was as if her body wanted to respond but lacked the strength. Daniel tried an old calming method he had used on human patients. He placed his palm flat against her chest and guided her breathing. "Breathe with me," he whispered, inhaling deeply, then exhaling slowly. At first, her body resisted, jerking harder, but then her chest tried to follow his rhythm. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. The trembling slowed, only slightly, but it was the first true sign of control. Lyra's tears fell, but this time they carried relief instead of despair. "She's listening. She's really listening," she said in a trembling voice. Daniel nodded, though sweat dripped down his forehead. He knew this was fragile, like balancing a storm on the edge of silence. From the edge of the crowd, an old alien merchant muttered, "Impossible. No doctor ever slowed the trembling before." Another hissed back, "Don't believe it. The sickness always returns." But even they could not deny what they saw. The humans' strange methods brought change. The guards shifted nervously, their confidence shaken. One whispered to the other, "What if he cures her? What does that mean for us?" The other guard scowled. "It means the law will break and fear will lose." Daniel kept his focus, guiding the woman's breath, steadying her body against each wave of spasms. Minutes felt like hours, but finally her head leaned softly against his arm instead of jerking violently. Her trembling had not stopped, but it slowed to half. It was fragile, temporary, but it was hope. Lyra hugged her mother tightly, whispering, "You're still here, Mom. You're still alive." Her small voice carried through the empty market, and for the first time, even the crowd of doubters stayed silent. They had expected death, curse, and madness. Instead, they saw one human's hands bring calm to a storm no alien could touch. Daniel looked at Lyra and said quietly, "She needs more than this. This is only the beginning, but if she can respond, then maybe, just maybe, there is a cure." Lyra's eyes widened, her hope shining brighter than her tears. "You won't stop until she's safe, right?" Daniel gave her a firm nod. "I promised you, and I keep my promises." The guards exchanged uneasy looks. The crowd whispered again. Fear was still there, but for the first time something stronger had entered the air. The possibility that the sickness was not a curse, the possibility that one human could change everything, and in that fragile moment of slowed trembling, the first seed of hope was planted, small, fragile, but alive, just like the woman in Daniel's arms. The quiet hope in the market did not last long. The moment the alien mother's trembling slowed, the crowd grew restless again. Some whispered that Daniel had tricked them. Others muttered that human touch was dangerous. But the calm in her body could not be denied, even if only for moments. Then came the heavy sound of boots, metal striking stone, steady and strong. The alien authorities had arrived, soldiers in dark armor, their faces hidden under helmets that reflected the pale light. The crowd quickly scattered, giving the soldiers space. Fear thickened in the air again, heavier than before. Lyra's grip on Daniel's arm tightened, her small voice shook. "They'll take her. They'll take my mom away." Daniel placed a steady hand on her shoulder, his voice low. "Not while I'm here." The lead officer stepped forward, his voice sharp and cold. "Human, step aside. The woman is marked with the trembling Q. By law, she must be removed from the city before the sickness spreads." Daniel rose slowly, his body shielding the mother and child. "She is not cursed," he answered firmly. "This is sickness, and sickness can be treated." The officer's visor tilted, almost mocking. "You think your human eyes see better than our records? Hundreds have died, every case the same. No cure, no return, only trembling until death. You interfere with law, you interfere with order." The soldiers behind him gripped their staffs tighter, their weapons hummed with energy, warning of the force they could use. Lyra gasped, pressing closer to her mother. "Please don't take her, please don't let them," she whispered, her tears spilling again. Daniel's voice grew louder, strong enough for the guards and the small crowd to hear. "If your law demands you throw away lives, then your law is wrong. I touched her, I steadied her, and she responded, 'I saw hope where you only see fear.'" The officer's stance stiffened, his voice cold. "Then you are infected too, human. If you will not move, you will be taken with them." Gasps rippled through the watching people. Some shouted, "Yes, take him, he brought danger among us." Others stayed quiet, eyes darting between fear and curiosity. For the first time, doubt entered their hearts. Daniel looked down at Lyra, her eyes were wide, shining with both terror and hope. "You promised," she whispered. "You promised not to leave us." He bent slightly, enough for only her to hear. "I keep my promises." The officer raised his hand, soldiers stepping forward. Daniel's heart pounded. He had no weapon but his conviction. Still, he did not move aside, his body strong. "This woman is under my care now," he declared. "If you want to take her, you'll have to take me first." The crowd gasped, a bold human standing against alien authority. The soldiers hesitated. No one had ever spoken like this before, but duty bound them, and they marched closer. Suddenly, the mother's body jerked again, her trembling stronger than before. The soldiers stood like stone statues, waiting for Daniel's next move. The officer's warning still echoed, "Prove your claim quickly, or all three of you leave this city tonight." The crowd kept its distance, fear and curiosity twisting together. Lyra pressed close to her mother, whispering again and again, "Stay alive, please stay alive." Daniel's mind raced. He had slowed the mother's trembling earlier by guiding her breath. That meant there was a way to influence the sickness. But why had no alien doctors ever tried the same? Why had they all declared it a curse, a death sentence? As he worked, Daniel noticed something. The mother's trembling was worse whenever the soldiers came near. But when he blocked their view with his own body, her spasms weakened slightly. It was not random, it was reacting to something. Daniel leaned close, asking softly, "Do you hear me? Can you tell me what hurts?" The mother's lips trembled, her eyes flickered open. In a broken whisper, she said, "Not curse, experiment, broken blood." Before falling back into shaking, Daniel froze, the words burning into his mind. Experiment, broken blood. This was no natural illness. It was something created, something done to her people long ago. He clenched his fists, anger boiling in his chest. If this was true, then every alien who trembled was not cursed. They were victims, abandoned because of something no one wanted to admit. Lyra tugged his arm, her eyes wide with confusion. What did she say? What does it mean? Daniel placed a hand gently on her shoulder. It means your mother is not cursed. It means someone did this to her, on purpose. Gasps spread through the crowd as Daniel's words carried. Whispers rose. Experiments? Lies. Or, could it be true? The soldiers stiffened, their officer snapping. Silence. Do not spread such madness, human. The trembling curse is old, older than your kind. Do not claim otherwise. But Daniel stood tall, his voice firm. She said it herself. This came from broken blood, not curse, not infection, but damage left by hands that wanted it hidden. You know it too, don't you? That's why you fear the truth. The officer's grip on his staff tightened. His silence spoke louder than denial. Daniel's suspicion deepened. Perhaps the authorities knew. Perhaps they had always known. Maybe fear was not only superstition but control. He searched the mother's body for more signs, marks near her neck, faint scars that glowed under the light. Not natural, implants, old and decayed. His breath caught. This was proof. Daniel turned to the crowd, raising his voice. Look, these scars are not from illness. They are from tools, machines, things forced into her long ago. She was not born with this curse. It was placed upon her. The crowd gasped louder, shock breaking their fear. Some shouted, lies! But others leaned closer, whispering in doubt. The seeds of truth had been planted. The officer barked an order. Enough! Human, stop your tongue or I will silence it. His soldiers stepped forward, weapons glowing. Lyra screamed and clung to her mother. Don't take her, please don't! Daniel stood his ground. I will not be silent, not when lives are wasted in fear. If you take her now, you prove your law is built on lies. For a tense moment, no one moved. The crowd watched, torn between fear of punishment and the weight of what they had heard. The mother's trembling grew worse again, her body convulsing. Daniel knelt, pressing his hands firmly on her shoulders, whispering, Stay with me. I know the truth now. I will not let them erase you. Her eyes opened faintly, glowing with pain and a small spark of trust. She tried to form words again, but only a faint sound escaped. Lyra bent down, pressing her forehead to her mother's. Whisper, I. Think softly. He knows, Mom. He knows the truth now. Hold on. Daniel looked at the soldiers, at the officer, at the fearful crowd, and in that moment he understood his path clearly. But Daniel shook his head, his expression dark. No, not yet. This was only the beginning. Her body is fighting the poison inside her blood. To truly heal her, I will need to risk more than medicine. The officer stepped forward, his voice sharp. You bought her time, human, but nothing more. Your treatment is reckless, your defiance dangerous. If she dies under your hands, the blame is yours. Daniel rose slowly, his body weary, but his eyes blazing. Then I accept it. If saving a life is crime in your law, then I will carry that crime proudly. Lyra hugged her mother tightly, whispering through her tears, You're our only lifeline. Don't stop, please. Daniel looked at the trembling woman, her chest rising and falling, fragile but alive, and he knew the truth. He had started something that could no longer be stopped, a fight not just for her, but for every life marked as cursed. The real battle had only begun. The city square emptied slowly after the treatment. The crowd drifted away, whispering about what they had seen. Some said Daniel was a miracle worker. Others swore he was dangerous. But one thing was clear, fear had not vanished. It had only changed shape. Daniel carried the alien mother with Lyra close by his side. The woman's trembling had slowed, her breathing steadier than before, but her body was weak, fragile as glass. She could not survive another night under the open sky. They made their way to an abandoned storage house at the edge of the market. The roof leaked, walls cracked, but it was shelter. Daniel laid the mother gently on a blanket he carried in his pack. Lyra knelt beside her, whispering soft words. You'll be safe now, Mom. He's helping you. You'll be safe. Daniel lit a small lamp, the soft glow chasing shadows from the corners. For a moment, there was peace. But peace rarely lasts in a place ruled by fear. A knock sounded at the door. Sharp and urgent. Daniel stiffened, his hand reaching instinctively for the small knife he kept hidden. Who is it? He asked firmly. A voice came back, low and nervous. It's me. A friend. I saw what you did. I believe you. Daniel hesitated, then opened the door slightly. A thin alien man stood there, shifting nervously. He whispered, You saved her, didn't you? You proved the curse is not real. I want to help. Lyra's eyes lit with hope. See? Not everyone is afraid, she whispered to Daniel, but something in the man's eyes felt wrong, too sharp, too calculating. Daniel gave a slow nod. If you wish to help, then bring food and water. She needs strength more than anything. The man nodded quickly and left. Daniel closed the door again, his chest heavy with unease. Lyra looked up at him. You don't trust him? Daniel shook his head. Hope is rare, Lyra, but betrayal is common. We must be ready for both. Hours passed. The mother stirred weakly, her trembling returning in faint waves. Daniel gave her drops of herbal water, keeping her breathing steady. Lyra fell asleep beside her mother, holding her hand tightly, even in dreams. But outside, shadows moved. The thin man returned, not with food, but with guards. He whispered to them, pointing at the broken storage house. There, the human and the cursed one. I told you he hides them. The guards moved silently, surrounding the place. Inside, Daniel's instincts stirred. He woke Lyra softly, pressing a finger to his lips. Quiet. Something's wrong. The door burst open. Soldiers storming in, weapons glowing. By law of the city, the officer's voice rang out. The cursed woman and her human protector are under arrest, Lyra screamed, clinging to her mother. No, you can't take her. You promised. Daniel drew his knife, though it was small against their weapons. You betrayed us, he said coldly, staring at the thin man who stood smirking at the doorway. The man shrugged. Better you than me, human. Better her blood than mine. The soldiers advanced. Daniel positioned himself in front of Lyra and her mother, his voice low but firm. You'll have to go through me first, the officer sneered. That can be arranged. The soldiers raised their staffs, light humming dangerously, but before they struck, the mother's voice broke through in a raw, shaking cry. Not curse! Truth! The words echoed in the broken walls. The guards faltered, their grips loosening. Never before had one of the afflicted spoken so clearly. Daniel seized the moment, pulling Lyra and her mother toward the back wall. This way, he whispered. He kicked the rotten boards, breaking through into the cold night air. The three of them stumbled into the dark alley, the sounds of shouting guards chasing behind. Lyra clung tightly, sobbing. They'll catch us. They'll take her away. Daniel's voice was iron. Not if I can help it. They betrayed us tonight, but betrayal only proves the truth is dangerous to them, and that truth must be protected at all costs. The guards' footsteps thundered closer. The night of betrayal had begun, and Daniel knew the fight was no longer about hiding. It was about surviving long enough to reveal the truth to the world. The cold night air bit against Daniel's skin as he guided Lyra and her mother through the dark alleys. Behind them, the shouts of guards echoed, boots striking the stone streets, growing closer. The mother stumbled, her body jerking violently again, each tremor stronger than before. Lyra cried, "She can't keep running. She's too weak." Daniel stopped in the shadow of an old warehouse, his breath heavy. He lowered the woman carefully against the wall, her face pale, sweat soaking her hair. Her trembling spread from her arms to her whole body, violent and uncontrolled. Daniel placed his ear against her chest. Her heartbeat was uneven, stuttering like a drum about to break. No, she doesn't have much time, he muttered. Lyra dropped to her knees beside her mother, gripping her hand. Please, you promised to save her. You can't let her die. Her voice cracked, desperate, piercing the silence like a knife. Daniel looked at the girl, then at the fragile body before him. He had tried medicine, herbs, stabilizers, and still her body fought itself. The sickness was buried deeper than flesh. It was in her blood itself. His mind raced. If her blood is broken, then something stronger must stabilize it. Something different. His gaze fell to his own hands, scarred from years of healing. Human blood was different from alien blood, resistant, adaptable. What if his strength could balance her weakness? It was madness, dangerous beyond reason. No one mixed blood across species. Most healers said it would kill both. But Daniel had no choice left. He pulled a small injector from his pack, his hands trembling not with fear, but with urgency. He cut a line across his palm, crimson drops of human blood filling the tube. Lyra gasped. What are you doing? Daniel's voice was steady, though his chest tightened. She needs strength beyond hers. If her blood is broken, I'll share mine to steady it. It may kill me, but without it, she won't live another hour. The girl shook her head wildly, tears running. No, you can't die. Then I'll lose you too. Daniel placed a hand gently on her shoulder. I promised you I wouldn't leave you, and a promise means giving everything, even life, if it saves her. Before the guards could reach them, he pressed the injector into the woman's arm. His blood entered her body, mixing with hers. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then her body convulsed so violently that Lyra screamed. The glow under her skin turned wild, blue and red veins pulsing together. Daniel grabbed her tightly, whispering, "Stay with me. Fight it." Don't let go, the storm inside Her body surged. Daniel felt his own strength draining, his head pounding, his vision blurring. It was as if her broken blood pulled at his, demanding more. This was no longer only about saving one woman, it was about exposing the truth hidden under generations of fear. The alien mother shook violently in his arms, and Daniel whispered fiercely, "They broke you once, but they will not break you again, not while I breathe." The square was no longer silent. The crowd whispered restlessly, torn between fear and curiosity. The soldiers stood with weapons glowing, waiting for their officer's command, and in the middle of it all, Daniel knelt beside the trembling woman, his mind racing. Her body jerked harder now, her muscles twisting in violent waves. Every convulsion looked like it might break her bones. Lyra clung to her mother's arm, sobbing. "She can't take this anymore. She'll die." Daniel's jaw tightened. He knew the truth now. This was not curse, not natural sickness. It was damage left by cruel hands, experiments carved into her blood. But knowing the truth meant nothing if he couldn't save her. He pulled open his travel bag again. Inside were tools most people would call simple: herbal extracts, mineral dust, medical stimulants from different worlds. But to Daniel, they were lifelines. He had used them to save miners trapped in caves, soldiers wounded in battle, even alien children poisoned by tainted air. He picked out a vial of dark blue liquid, swirling it carefully, a rare stabilizer from the mines of Alora 9. It calmed nerves, slowed seizures, but only in small amounts. Too much, and it would shut the heart completely. Lyra's tear-filled eyes followed his hands. "What are you doing?" she asked, her voice shaking. Daniel looked at her gently, but firmly. "I am trying something dangerous, but it is her only chance. If we do nothing, she will not see another sunrise." The little girl's lips trembled. She pressed her forehead against her mother's hand, whispering, "Do it. Please, do it." Daniel drew a drop of the a liquid into a thin glass tube. The crowd murmured, some gasping. "What is that? Human poison? Witchcraft?" The soldiers gripped their staffs tighter, ready to strike if he made a wrong move. Ignoring them all, Daniel steadied his hand and pressed the tube against the woman's neck. Her body jerked violently at the touch, her skin glowing faintly. "Stay with me," he whispered, his voice strong. "Trust me, just a little more." He released the drop. The liquid slid under her skin, glowing for a heartbeat before vanishing inside her blood. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then the woman's entire body convulsed, harder than before. Her back arched, her mouth opened in a soundless scream. The crowd cried out in shock, some screaming, "She's dying! The human is killing her!" Lyra shrieked and grabbed Daniel's arm. "You promised! You promised!" Daniel held firm, his face hard. "This is part of it. She has to fight it first, then it will calm. Don't let go of her, Lyra. Hold her hand. Let her know she's not alone." The little girl obeyed, tears streaming as she gripped her mother's fingers tightly. "Mom, I'm here. I won't let go. Please fight. Please stay." The woman's spasms shook the ground beneath her. Her veins glowed faintly blue, light racing through them like fire in the dark. Daniel pressed his palms to her chest, whispering steadily, "Breathe. Follow my voice. Breathe." Minutes felt like years. Then slowly, painfully, the storm weakened. Her convulsions shrank to tremors. Her breathing steadied in faint gasps. The blue glow faded, leaving only sweat and exhaustion. The crowd fell silent again. They had seen her on the edge of death, yet somehow pulled back. A murmur rose. "She's calmer." The trembling slowed again. The human did it. Daniel released a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. His hands shook from the effort, but relief filled his chest. He looked at Lyra. "She's not safe yet, but she's still alive, and while she's alive, we keep fighting." The girl's tears turned into a trembling smile. "You saved her. You really saved her." Lyra clung to him, crying, "Don't stop, she's fighting, I can feel it." Minutes stretched into eternity. The mother's body thrashed, then slowly began to ease. Her heartbeat, once broken and weak, steadied into rhythm. The violent trembling softened into faint shivers. Her lips parted, and for the first time a clear word escaped. "Lyra." The child froze, eyes wide, then burst into tears. "She said my name. She said my name." She hugged her mother tightly, sobbing into her chest. Daniel smiled faintly, though his body swayed with weakness, his face pale, sweat dripping, his knees nearly giving out. The mother opened her eyes slowly, her gaze clearer than ever before. She looked at Daniel, confusion and gratitude mixing in her trembling voice. "You gave life." Daniel forced a weak smile, whispering, "No curse, never curse, only blood that needed balance." Behind them, the guards finally reached the alley. They froze at what they saw. The cursed woman, once shaking to death, now lying still with her child in her arms, breathing steady, alive, and the human slumped beside her, drained but unbroken. Whispers spread among the soldiers. Impossible. No one ever stopped the trembling. It was real sickness, not curse. The officer's face hardened, but even his voice trembled with doubt. What have you done, human? Daniel steadied himself on the wall, his voice weak but firm. I gave her part of me, and now you see with your own eyes. Your curse was a lie, your fear was a prison, and the key was always courage. The soldiers exchanged uneasy glances. The law had been broken, but the truth could no longer be hidden. Lyra hugged her mother tightly, whispering through tears, "You're alive, Mom. He saved you. He really saved you." Daniel looked at them both, his body heavy with exhaustion, and he knew the risk had been worth it, even if it cost him his own life. Hope had finally won. The alley was quiet now. The alien mother lay weak but alive, her chest rising in calm rhythm. Lyra clung to her tightly, refusing to let go, her tears falling like rain but carrying joy instead of fear. Daniel sat against the wall, pale and drained, his hands still bleeding where he had given his blood. The soldiers surrounded them, their weapons lowered but their faces hidden by silence. They had come to drag away the cursed, yet what they saw now shattered every belief they held. The officer's voice broke the silence, sharp but uncertain. This is not possible. No one ever lived once the trembling began. Daniel lifted his head slowly, his voice hoarse but steady. Not curse, not death, only truth hidden in fear. You called them cursed, but they were victims of broken blood, and tonight you saw with your own eyes that they can be healed. The officer said nothing, but his grip on his staff loosened. Behind him, one soldier whispered, "If the curse is a lie, then how many died for nothing?" Another muttered, "All those families, all those children." Their voices shook with doubt, the seed of truth spreading among them like fire. The mother stirred, her trembling now only faint shivers. Her eyes opened, clearer than before, and she turned her gaze to Daniel, her voice weak but steady. "You risked everything. Why?" Daniel smiled faintly, his body still heavy. "Because a child begged me not to run, because life is worth more than fear, and because no one deserves to be left to die alone." Lyra hugged her mother tighter, whispering, "He kept his promise, Mom. He saved you. He didn't leave us." The mother reached out a trembling hand and touched Daniel's shoulder. "You gave part of yourself. You are more than healer. You are family now." The word struck Daniel deeper than any wound. For years he had wandered alone, a healer with no home. But he, in the arms of a desperate child and her fragile mother, he felt something new, a bond that could not be broken. The soldiers still waited, torn between law and truth. Finally, the officer lowered his staff completely. His voice was low, almost reluctant. "The law says she should be taken, but what I saw tonight, the law cannot explain. You may go, human. Take them with you. But know this, others will not accept what happened here so easily." Daniel rose slowly, steadying himself. He nodded. "Then let them come. Truth cannot stay hidden forever." He lifted the mother carefully, her weight fragile but alive. Lyra walked beside him, holding both their hands tightly. The three of them moved out of the alley together, past the silent soldiers and into the uncertain night. The crowd that had once feared them gathered at a distance. When they saw the woman alive, walking weakly but steady, gasps spread through the people. Some bowed their heads in shame, others stepped back in disbelief, but among them, a few voices rose. "She lived. The curse is broken. She was never cursed at all." Hope, fragile but burning, spread through the city like dawn light breaking the dark. As Daniel carried the mother toward safety, Lyra's small voice broke the silence. "Will you stay with us? Please, don't leave us now." Daniel looked down at her hopeful eyes and the trembling hand still clinging to him. He smiled softly, though his body ached. "Yes, Lyra, I'll stay. You and your mother are not alone anymore." The child's face brightened with relief. She whispered again, the words that had bound him to them from the beginning. "You're our only lifeline." Daniel nodded, his voice steady and gentle. "Then I will be that lifeline until the very end." And so, under the watchful eyes of a city shaken by truth, a human, an alien child, and her once doomed mother walked together, not as strangers, not as healer and patience, but as something stronger. A new family born from courage, trust, and the refusal to let fear decide who deserved to live.